Hello and welcome. I'm Sofiko and this is Creative Minds Speaking, a podcast where I have conversations with creative industry professionals, bringing into the spotlight those incredible people who are behind the scenes of art and entertainment is the main goal of this podcast. On today's episode of the podcast, I'm going to interview Camila Anino. Camila is the head of partnerships and programming at Primavera Pro, a conference from Primavera Sounds Festival. She is currently based in Barcelona, and I'm very happy to have Camila on the show because I feel like she will share a lot of interesting information with us. Hi, Cami. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
I'm very happy to have you, and let's start with your background. Could you please share your background with us?
Sure. So, I was born and raised in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I guess that if we talk about my professional journey, my first job was at a music conservatory.
Wow.
Um, yes. I had actually been studying music there since I was 8 years old. And my mom was good friends with the director. So it was sort of like a very organic transition, I guess, from student to
So
employee.
you're a professional musician?
Well, no. I mean, I totally gave up on that. I totally gave up to the idea of becoming an artist and a musician at one point in my life. But anyway, that was my first job. And, it was also a good job, I guess, to have as a first job because I was surrounded with people willing to teach me stuff and sort of like take care of me and take me under their wing. So I think that was nice. And there I was doing comms and sponsorship. Then I started working for a local promoter, freelancing in the booking department, and then that job eventually became a full-time job. And we were doing all the international shows, like like Coldplay, like Ariana Grande, like those kind of artists. And then we were also doing Lollapalooza, the festival. So after that, I did a couple jobs for HBO for their marketing department before I moved to Spain, because now I'm based in Barcelona. And I moved to Spain to do a master's in global entertainment and music business at Berkeley. Then I started working as an editorial for a London based streaming service. And then I finished the master's, moved to Barcelona, started working for sound diplomacy, first in marketing, then in partnerships, then in business development. And now I work at Primavera. So, yeah.
Wow, that's an incredible journey. You basically worked only in music your whole life.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Why would you say you decided to build your career in the music industry? You mentioned that you gave up on your artistic career. Like, was it an idea first to be an artist, and then you kind of switched to the business part, or was it
I
something else?
mean, I don't think I decided that I wanted to have a career in the music industry. It just felt like there was no other option for me. Like I think I don't think I consider other options. I've always been super passionate about music. And yes, I dreamed about being a singer, when I was little. There's a stadium that's like 10 minutes away from my mom's house. It's called River Plate Stadium. River Plate is like a big football team in Argentina. And so I dreamt about playing there. And I mean, it was clearly a dream, as you can imagine. I mean, so you get an idea Taylor Swift is playing there like tomorrow. So you get an idea of how big it is. But anyway, there was a point very, very early on in which I realized that I was not going to become Taylor Swift. So that was
Sad.
not to go about it. And I decided to dedicate my life to everything that happens backstage.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess that was at like 13, 14 years old. And after that happened, it was all about trying to seeking knowledge from people working in the industry in Argentina, and there was someone, I guess, that was really great with me and really kind to me and really helped me with that. And he's actually now the the head of Universal Publishing. But yeah, I guess that's, I mean, in Argentina, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's sort of like how it happened, very
That's very,
organically, I think we can
yeah,
say.
that's the word, very organically. Um, it sounds from what you're saying that you already kind of had a pretty good career path in Argentina, but then you decided to do the masters. Would you say it was more because you felt like you're lacking knowledge, or because you wanted to? You had this idea of moving to Europe, or everything together? I don't know.
I mean, I did wanted to leave Argentina since, I don't know, since I can remember. It's a very complicated country, politically speaking, socially speaking, economically speaking. So I knew that I wanted something different from me. It is a shame though, because it was like when I did it, like I wanted to do my bachelor's overseas already, but then that just didn't happen for reasons. I mean the reason was actually my dad saying, "You're 18, you're not going anywhere." And I was like, "Okay, sure, maybe you're right." So that's why I did my bachelor's there, and I stayed there for 4 years. But after that, I was just like, all right, now I'm ready to go do my master's and like start my career elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
um but again, the industry in Argentina was, I mean, the scene, more than the industry, the scene, it was amazing. I mean, the bands that were active at that moment and they're still active now, and that they're like popping up, they were great, like what was happening there, it was really amazing. So it was sort of like a shame to leave and not be able to witness that, from the core. But at the same time, I don't regret my decision. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. We will talk in details about your current role at Primavera Pro.
Sure.
But it sounds like you're still kind of helping Argentinian artists because you're bringing them to Spain to the festival.
Yeah.
So please share more about what your role is, like what you're doing, and maybe what you like about it the most.
Okay. So my role is many things.
Good.
So I program that, like, the one of the things I do, one of the main things I do is program the showcases of emerging artists at at the event. So that's where what you mentioned made sense of working with Argentinian artists. Last year we brought two Argentinian artists to perform, and that's probably, I mean, that aspect of my job is the one that's probably closer to my heart in a way, because emerging artists, I think, just hold a very dear space in my heart, and being able to contribute to their internationalization and to their career growth in general. I feel very lucky to be able to do that. But then I also do partnerships and, different sort of like deals with industry organizations and brands, and in the form of whatever you could think of, from putting together a project to, I don't know, sponsorship to, yeah, there's just so many different kind of partnerships that I do. And then I also craft conference content and educational programs. So that's me.
And from what I know, Primavera has different locations. It started in Barcelona, if I'm not mistaken, but then now it has different locations, even countries. Um, are you responsible for those as well, or you're mostly working for in Spain?
No, I'm mostly working in Spain. I mean, Porto has been going on for some years now, but we've never taken our activities there. And the LATAM festivals are pretty new. They had their
Mm-hmm.
first edition last year. So that's like a pretty new development. I mean, idea is to eventually take the activities that I touch on there, but can't talk much about that.
And how do you feel about the work culture in Spain and in Argentina, because you have experience in both? And
Hmm.
was it hard for you to work in a different country? The language is the same. I mean, you obviously speak Spanish, but in Barcelona there is also Catalan. What are your thoughts about it?
Catalans would be very happy that you mentioned that, I have to say. I mean, it is different from what I've experienced. And I mean, I've worked, there are all sort of people everywhere, right? Like, you can't expect people to all be nice or to all be mean or to all be respectful or to not be respectful everywhere. Like, there are all sort of people everywhere. But, going back to the word I just said, respect, I guess that's something that I noticed when I started working here, that was different and that was better. I moved here when I was 22 and did the masters and started working. And so I was very young. And I was very young, and I am a woman, so in the industry. And in Argentina, I found that it was difficult to be young, to be a woman, to have an opinion, to want to do things. I mean, I guess that it's probably always like this a similar situation when you're young, when you're a woman, everywhere in the world, right? But I think it was like the problem of gender equality there, where it's like 10 steps behind, from what's happening here in Europe. I mean, the conversation wasn't really
Mm,
on the table. And wait, I'm just talking about the live business because I never work in the recording side of the industry. So maybe that was different. That was a different situation.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, life could also be hard. You have the night, you have the long hours, you have, there are so many factors that also kind of like make it complicated. But yeah, I guess respect is the answer of the key difference that I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed when I moved here.
That's interesting. I actually had the opposite impression. I thought that Argentina is one of the leading countries when it comes to the women rights, because I think I read quite a lot of articles about protests there.
I think that the spirit is pretty much there. And, probably when I left, which was 2018, we've had like 2 years of like people starting to speak up, to do demonstrations on demonstration to legalize abortion. Um, and it was great to witness. I went there to those demonstrations with my mom. You would see like grandmas there. You would see, like women from all ages. And it was lovely, because finally we were starting to do the things and getting together and, sort of like, yeah, speaking up, I guess. But I don't remember that before that time it was
Mm,
that big of
mm-hmm.
a thing. And I mean, I'm talking about that this, 2018, and this started happening like a couple years before I left, or like 1 year before I left.
Hopefully, there is a progress from the time that you left. Um, do you want to share maybe the most interesting project you worked in your current role, or maybe other roles, or the most some things that you worked on that really made you proud about what you're doing, and maybe um, added the realization that you're doing the right thing that you're actually very passionate about?
I mean, I guess probably like after this year's edition, getting to have artists from Taiwan, from New Zealand, from Australia, from Chile, from Argentina, also from, Europe, Austria. So, I mean, Italy, Sweden, just so many countries, Ireland as well. And I think that is great
Mm-hmm.
because, in a way, you're sort of like building a bridge between Latin America, Europe, and Asia. And that was such a great experience because these are artists that, they're starting out. Maybe they already have, some releases. There's something already going on for them locally, but now they're ready to go overseas and to take their yeah, their project elsewhere
Mm-hmm.
and to promote it elsewhere. And a lot of the times, if you don't come to these spaces, you know, you don't really get to know them or to see them. And to have a space where all of these artists can come together and can perform, and coming from everywhere in the world, and being able to be a fundamental part, taking a fundamental part in organizing such a thing, I think that's beautiful.
Yes, it's a very beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing. Um, you mentioned that you mostly worked in the live sector of the music industry, and
Yes.
you already briefly said that you need to be ready for the long hours. Is there anything else that you would say that is very specific to the live sector?
I mean, I think you can look at the bad things and at the good things,
Mm-hmm.
right? Yes, the long hours, drugs, alcohol consumption, stress, adrenaline, anxiety. But the feeling I have and I get when I see an artist perform live, that sort of feeling is so rewarding. It's so great when you're seeing also the audience have a good time, you know, being safe, being with their friends, hanging out, singing to the songs of the artists. That is so rewarding. So it's like, I mean, I feel like it shouldn't have to be like, in order to have that feeling, you need to give up your soul,
Mm-hmm.
because I think there are ways, and to sort of like work in the live sector, and well, in the music industry, I think in general, and to still sort of like try to manage work personal life balance,
Mm-hmm.
a healthy lifestyle. I think there are ways, and I think it's great to see the iconic professionals with long careers in the industry sort of like saying, I'm doing this to be healthy, or I'm not drinking alcohol anymore, or I'm taking a massage once a week. I don't know, or like, even I'm going to the shrink, I'm going to therapy, and it's so important to sort of like understand that it's not really necessary to lose your mind and your body and your everything into working in this industry. It's also possible to have an okay life. It's also possible to be a mother, right? For those that
Mm-hmm.
want to be mothers.
Thank you for sharing this, because yeah, I'm guessing that people who are looking at this sector from, from another side, they mostly see those bad things that you described. But you're right that with a good balance, with like finding what brings you back, to earth, it's really possible to have a career.
I
And
do have to say, though, that here companies play a major role as well.
mm-hmm.
Like, what are you expecting from your employees? what are you asking your employees to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Because maybe if you had your booker in a show until, I don't know, 3 in the morning, maybe don't expect that person to come in at 8, right?
Can you please share how do you deal with those situations, with those very stressful situations? Because again, we are talking about live sector, so the things like a musician can get sick, there is some last minute cancellations, I don't know, visa or travel problems, and what do you usually do? Like, do you need to find very quickly someone else? Do you have some kind of backup? Or, and I mean, has it ever happened to you? Maybe it's never happened to you. You're like a person that never dealt with it.
I mean, well, the visa thing doesn't really happen to me. We do get a lot of like issues with like the logistics sometimes, like hotels and this and that. I don't take care of that, but of course it affects me because you need the artists happy, you need their teams happy, you need their organization, organizations coming with the artists happy. So you just want everyone to be happy, and so you want everything to go smoothly and perfect. I do get stressed out, but I think I'm good at like putting fires down,
Mm-hmm.
putting out fires. I don't even know what the right word, like way to say it in English is, but that's very important for everyone that works in the live business, to sort of like be able to act quickly on things, to respond, to understand problems, and just transform them into energy to solve them
Mm-hmm.
instead of just like whine about them. I mean, of course, you can sort of like, yeah, complain, but it's not going to solve your problem, right?
And work wise, like if you have like last minute cancellation of a speaker at the conference or the
Yeah.
musician, like how do you go about it usually? What are the options?
You try to find someone else.
Mm-hmm.
It depends, right? Like if it's 2 hours away or maybe a day away and you can't find someone else, or maybe a week away, okay, that's fine. Like, what can you do? Announce it, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's, I can't even imagine. I've never
Look at the
really.
contract. That's what you can do.
And if we speak about Spanish music industry and Latin music industry, you mentioned that you mostly know Argentinian music industry, but would you say that those industries very connected based on the language and kind of work together maybe, or you would say that in your opinion it's still very different industries, very different approaches, very different music, and like, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I think it's very connected. Um, I mean, yeah, we can talk about, collaborations or touring or, those kind of things. But I also think it's very connected in terms of sort of like cultural influences, that impact the music, the songs.
Mm-hmm.
So the heritage, musically speaking. And that's nice.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Now I would like to move on to more like just not professional, but more like general life questions. What would you say are your life highlights?
My life highlights.
Yes.
Okay. Well, moving to Spain, definitely. I don't know if I highlight, but like something that really changed my life. It's really difficult. And you know about this. I know you know about this, to be an expat. So that's probably, yeah, one of
Mm-hmm.
the most important things I've done
Mm-hmm.
in my life, if not the most important. Then adopting two cats. It's probably a life highlight. What else? There's also a nice life highlight, which is also a work highlight, I guess. I forgot, to mention this before in your previous question. So I was very young again, starting to work for the local promoter in Argentina. And there was a moment, when I was saying like the reward you get from watching the musicians play, and the artists perform, and the crowd be super happy and just sing along the songs and etc. So there was this moment where I was standing, sort of like backstage, but on the stage, and there was Noel Gallagher playing one of Oasis songs, and so he's, I mean, the crowd in Argentina is known to be, mad,
Intense.
intense, yeah, passionate. And he stopped singing, and everyone started singing, and sort of like the lights went on, and they were like pointing at the crowd, so everyone was sort of like, you could see the crowd. It was a massive crowd, it was a festival, so I guess maybe like 100K people, and they were all singing to that, and I was like, this is insane, like, oh my god, what is this feeling that I'm feeling right now? So that is a highlight that I will always remember, because it was also, like Oasis. Growing up, I used to listen to Oasis a lot with my brother, and everyone singing to that, and seeing everyone sort of like have the same feeling of everyone loves Oasis, and I don't know, it was just amazing.
Thank you, Kami.
No problem.
And what would you say is your personal definition of success?
I've been questioning myself that lately. I don't think I have the answer, because so this is probably very personal what I'm about to tell, but I have a brother, he's older than me, 12 years older than me. Meaning he already has his life figured out, and he already has a kid, and not that I don't have my life figured out, but I don't have a kid, and I'm very far from, those moments in life. So basically, he used to be a journalist, and at one point he moved out of the city, went to, moved to a different province, to what we could call a very, very, very small town in the mountains, and started working in something completely different, that was enough for him to work very little and make good money. Probably he's working in something that I probably don't think he's like very much interested in, that, as like a saying like, oh, I love my job. It just provides,
Mm-hmm.
and I get, it provides, and I get the time to do everything in life that I want to do. So I was like, okay, really smart way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've always had this very sort of like shark mindset of working, studying, reading. I don't know, success used to look like what it would look like for, I don't know what you see in the movies, good job, good money, big house, you know. But is that actually success? Because I was actually talking about this yesterday with someone, and we were talking about time. So, what is having all those things, and, if you don't really have time to do other things?
Mm-hmm.
And how precious is time? And now I'm not really questioning time, but then I guess that when you're already like 40, 50, 60, you start sort of like thinking about, okay, I don't, because you don't have much time left. I mean, you do, maybe, or maybe someone invents at one point a fascinated vaccine that allow us to live for, I don't know, 50 years longer than now we do now. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's the key, and that's something that I've been questioning. So what is success for me? Is it having like a chill life? Is it having like a very successful life career wise, and then giving sort of like up my my personal life in a way? Is it having money? Is it having well, everything that I've been mentioning, and I don't have the answer. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
on the path of finding that out. And I think that success has different meanings for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what success is for you is probably not the same for me, or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe we're the same. I think it also relates a lot to your background, to your starting point, in life.
Definitely.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
um, so yeah, I don't have an answer for you, Sofiko.
No, you actually gave a very big answer on how you're trying to understand what's success for you and what are important aspects. And I'm sure you'll figure it out and it's
Thank
all gonna
you.
be great. um, at the end I of the podcast, I ask this quick questions. Some of them are silly, so be ready.
Okay. Okay.
um, do you have any book, movie, or song recommendations for our listeners?
I was actually thinking about this series. It's not a movie, it's a TV series that I saw called Halt and Catch Fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. So go and watch it. Halt and Catch Fire.
Okay.
It's a series. I don't know in which platform it'll be for the listeners.
We will
For
try to find
me,
out.
yeah, for me it was in Filmin. It's a very good platform we have here in Spain. I think it's actually available worldwide, but I don't know.
Who is your celebrity crush?
I so many, no?
Give us just some.
The thing with me and celebrity crushes is that they don't really last for long. It's like, oh, look at this guy, and then that vanishes. But I guess that the last celebrity crush that I had was the guy from The Bear, the
From
TV
where?
series, The Bear. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
He's called Jeremy something, like he's also on Shameless.
Okay, I'm gonna check. I'm curious.
Yeah, you do that.
What is your the most useless talent that you have?
Wow. Okay. Um, I do have one talent that I don't think many people know of. Probably only my
Okay.
brother or my mom. But I can make
Wow.
this. Yeah,
That's an exclusive information.
it is. But like this is a podcast, so it's only sound. You won't be able to see it.
Okay.
It's like it's I can move my. We have the lip, the lip that's like below, not the upper lip, the other one. That one, I can make it move very fast.
Okay.
It's so useless.
Maybe listeners will not see this, but I want to see this later.
I'm sorry, not available for your amusement.
And the last question that I really love to wrap up the conversation: who inspires you the most?
I think my mom. She's like a very. She also works in art, not music, but like actually like art. Putting on exhibitions, being a curator, and like different things. And well, first she was the one that always sort of like showed me that it is very possible to have a career in a not conventional industry, I guess. Like my dad wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer or like an architect, and I'm like, oh
Very
no.
typical.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, that was the case. Like every time I went for dinner at his, he was like, I have a very good friend. He's a lawyer. Wouldn't you like to meet him? And I was like, no, please don't make me do this. So, first of all, she showed me that. And she showed me also that it is very also possible to be strong, independent woman. And yeah, I don't know. She's good. She's my inspiration.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, Thank you so much,
She
Cami,
would
for.
cry if she listens. If she hears that.
I hope she will.
Send her the link.
I will. Once it's out, I will. Moms are amazing. My mom doesn't really speak. I mean, she speaks some English, but not on that level to understand fully the conversations. And the podcast is obviously in audio format.
English. Yeah,
and in audio format and in English, and she's always listening to the podcast. She heard all of the podcasts,
that's
even though
amazing.
she doesn't understand like maybe at least 50% of what's
70% of
happening. Yeah,
it.
but that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful to have this.
Yeah, an act of love.
Thank you so much again, Cami. It was a beautiful conversation. You really shared a lot of beautiful thoughts about about your profession and about the personal life as well. I'm super happy that we found time to record the podcast. And thank you a lot.
No, thank you so much for having me. It was really, really nice to spend the last hour talking to you.